And for more on this, we're joined by Security Strategist and retired Interpol Ambassador Andy Mashaile via Zoom. A very good evening to you, Mr. Mashaile. Thank you so much for joining us, and a warm welcome to the late edition.
Good evening to you, Simpiwe.
Well, in as much as this story is, slightly over 24 hours old, but it still remains the big talking point of the day. I mean, Commissioner Mkhwanazi having raised serious concerns about political interference in policing matters in KwaZulu-Natal. From your perspective as a security strategist, just how prevalent is political interference in policing structures across the country?
It is prevalent, Simpiwe, although it is kept under wraps. It is between the executive and the management of the police. Prevalent meaning when it happens, you seldom hear about it, but it does happen. In fact, it's not only happening in South Africa, Simpiwe. All over the world it happens, and you know of examples that I'm going to cite. You know of the police being involved in the escorting of the Gupta party from that Air Force base to the border of Northwest, yes. Escorted by your freeway patrol and your flying squad. So these things happen.
Now, he also spoke about collusion between politicians and criminals. So how does this kind of collusion typically manifest in the South African context, as it were, particularly in provinces like KwaZulu-Natal?
I am going to address it from the consequences back to front. The consequences are very dire in the event of when crime has been committed by these criminals or drug lords or organized crime kingpins, and it is not only impacting negatively on the province that you have just mentioned. It happens all over the show. Look at the impact in the Western Cape in terms of the lawlessness and those who are sponsoring it, and that other end of the world, and those drug lords that and Mkhwanazi is talking about, the rogue police officers, your judges, your prosecutors, who are alleged to be living in Johannesburg. And the impact on the country is very, very negative. As you can tell, there's a national stress that we're experiencing. Last night, some of us could not sleep. You couldn't even sleep because you were shocked, and we were shocked and disappointed.
Right. And what kind of impact then does political interference have on the operational independence and the effectiveness of policing units? I mean, I'm asking this, in the context of, how collusion with criminals by politicians or even senior officials compromise national security, particularly in provinces with a history of political violence.
It has a very negative impact in Pure. Imagine an organized crime syndicate, drug law, friends with this senior police officer or this executive member, be it a minister or be it any other parliamentarian, who would then be benefiting from the protection of the executive or the senior police officers in terms of that police officer or the executive ensuring that policing is stalled for that individual to escape or to get away with murder, as it were.
And in other countries with similar issues, I know that you've had a stint at the Interpol. So what strategies have worked to reduce political influence in policing, and could they be replicated in South Africa?
Simpiwe, there's a sizable number of examples that you look at. When you look at your Brazils, your Mexicos of the world, there's absolute lawlessness, and the police being owned by, particularly in Mexico, being owned by the drug lords, by a sizable number of these people who are involved, who are hardened criminals. And when you look at it, also you compare it with Eastern Europe and Europe, and many parts of the world. The only way in which you deal with this is dealing with it like it happened in the Philippines. The president sentencing and making sure that the minister is sentenced to jail for corruption, as you know, this example that I'm citing. And up to today, you see Malaysia and that part of the world being very, very successful without the land that we have. Them being able to turn around the economies, create employment, create safe and security zones. Remember, Simpure, that in your National Development Plan, Chapter 12, you and I and the people of this country talk about by 2030, which is only a few years away from now, the people of this country should actually walk around feeling safe, and they should actually be safe. They should be able to move. Ladies should be able to move from Park Station to the other part of Carlton Center at any time that they wish without being accosted, raped, or killed. Not only women, children, people with disabilities, and the elderly. So when there is this developed state of affairs now, it impacts negatively on the hope and aspirations of the people as prescribed in the National Development Plan.
All right, Mr. Mashaile, great chatting to you. And I suppose all eyes are now on President Ramaphosa to see how he deals with this particular matter. But thank you so much for sharing your insights with us this evening.
Thank you, Simpue.
All right, that was a security strategist and retired Interpol Ambassador Andy Mashaile talking to us about the recent developments with regards to that press briefing by KZN Police Commissioner Mkhwanazi.